Hello there, and welcome to this brand new edition of FiveRoundMMA. My name is Alex Ramirez. Alongside me is always, you guys always button heads. You guys are brothers, right?
We're playing in fantasy football this week, so
Okay.
it's
even worse right now.
The superseded brothers, Albert and Guillermo.
when we should be uniting to defeat the Johnson sisters, we're actually fighting
our
against
fantasy
each
This
other.
is a fantasy football league you guys are in. Today's show, we got a lot to talk about. We have Marcus Edwards from MFC, Maximum Fighting, coming up at MFC 41. Got a big bout, lightweight title bout. That was a title bout. Now it's interim title bout. It's kind of weird, but we'll talk to about that later on. I also want to talk to you guys about all the news happening in the UFC. Roy Nelson got knocked out.
Yeah, for the first time in his career.
I know Guillermo's kind of happy because Guillermo's probably the biggest Cain Velasquez fan I know. But and the whole week before, he was talking a lot of crap about the UFC and their quote-unquote protecting of Cain Velasquez. So, Guillermo, what you thought about that? Roy Nelson saying UFC protecting
I don't think
Cain
they're
Velasquez.
protecting Cain Velasquez at all because if you look at it, Junior Dos Santos defeated Roy Nelson, defeated Mark Hunt to get his title, title opportunity against Cain Velasquez twice.
Yeah. Like, Roy Nelson was saying
times.
that Cain Velasquez has fought just two guys in the past 4 years: JDS, Bigfoot, JDS, Bigfoot. So,
yeah. And then Bigfoot earned it himself by knocking out Overeem. So I mean, like, if you're talking about credentials, they had the credentials and beat these guys that were fighting against each other yesterday.
Albert, is this the last line for Roy Nelson in the UFC? You think, or
No,
is it still
no.
safe? I mean, because obviously, since day one, Ultimate Fighter Dana White has not liked this guy at all. So
No, but I think that's how Roy Nelson's UFC career has been: win one, lose one, win one, lose one. And the fact that there isn't that many heavyweights out there right now, I don't think it really. I think his job is pretty safe. But what I did want to bring up was the most exciting part for me for this card wasn't necessarily the fight itself,
UFC in Japan.
but it was the UFC posters I kept seeing. I mean, there is some fan art, some UFC media posters going out that were just epic. I mean, they had Mark Hunt, Roy Nelson as samurais, and you saw
the Rising Sun is a good backdrop for anything.
I was more excited for the actual cover art that was being displayed.
And then just sticking with the heavyweights a little bit right now, I know Frank Mir was contemplating retirement, so I think Roy Nelson is safe too.
Yeah.
And then also, I don't know if you guys heard Stipe Miocic, my boy,
Against JDS in
Against
December.
JDS.
They also lined up Alistair Overeem against Stefan Struve.
and then Gabriel Gonzaga versus Matt Mitrione.
So it looks like they're trying to.
It's kind of out of the picture a little bit, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
So I want to jump again to the kind of the bigger news is dominating sports is the NFL scandal about how they're handling discipline. Which we talked about how the UFC handles legal issues last week. Yeah. And then this week, what happened?
All of a sudden,
the UFC is going to put down the iron
Anthony
fist.
Rumble Johnson and
Anthony Rumble Johnson suspended
Thiago
indefinitely for domestic abuse allegations. Happened in 2012. And then Thiago Silva, who was re-signed recently, is now released for good from the UFC, again, stemming from domestic violence abuse. I can't help but say the UFC is just trying to steal some headlines, right?
here.
No, I don't think so.
So?
I think they're doing the correct thing. I mean,
it's not like
what got released with Thiago Silva was the text messages and the voicemails.
The reason why they signed that guy to begin with is horrible. What SWAT team was at his house?
Yeah,
I think he had his girlfriend held hostage.
But then the charges got dropped. Okay, so then Dana White said, "Okay, I'll re-sign him." But now that there's actual evidence, the DA can still put charges on Thiago Silva.
I just think like UFC, I don't know, there's nobody's really harping at their throat. People are calling for Roger Goodell's head right now. Then you do something. All these women's groups are calling for a change in the NFL, but nobody's really harping for a change in the UFC. Hey, we'll just do this just for the sake of doing it. Nobody's really asking for this kind of stuff. Especially, I think Rumble Johnson 2 years ago it's allegations. So I mean,
but he's taking the right steps.
Yeah, you can't harp him for that. But again, it's like, okay, Anthony Johnson, you're suspended until your next fight. How could you do that? You know what I mean? It's like he's not under appointment. He's not, at UFC events, right? Is that what it is? How do you suspend a fighter? I mean,
I've said from day one that Dana White likes to compare UFC to the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, but all these organizations have some form of regulation. Yeah, and that's where it starts. And even though right now the NFL is kind of muddy in these because before they didn't have these type of things, so now they're starting.
Well, these things were happening. They just didn't have anything with any way to deal with them.
So now they're finally going to make some. I bet you next season there's going to be something nice and black and white on paper that says this.
Goodell
this,
said
and
they
that.
have a conduct committee now. So
yeah, so see that, and I think that's the process that you have to take when it comes to if you want to compete in these type of organizations.
Yeah,
and I don't think by Dana White saying a bunch of hearsay or whatever, however he feels on a Monday, that's how he's going to decide to take care of it. Yeah. Isn't the right way to approach it, especially if you keep throwing your name out there with the NBA, the NFL, and NHL.
Well, I feel like that's how he approached this.
Final words?
he approached that situation exactly like that.
Yeah.
But he's doing the socially correct thing.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems kind of out of nowhere, really. I mean, nobody's really harping for this kind of change, but I guess, I mean, hopefully everything gets cleared up for Anthony Rebel Johnson. He is obviously on a tear in the lightweight division. The UFC is desperately in need of lightweights, and hopefully this stuff is just allegations, like you said. I mean, because domestic violence is a horrible thing. Hopefully it's not true, but again, we shall see. And Thiago Silva, I mean, guy had the SWAT team at his house. How could you want to resign that guy?
Yeah.
So I think that's it for the first segment. Stick around, guys. We got Marcus Edwards coming up. Should be awesome. So stick around.
Please visit FiveRoundMMA.com on our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. FiveRoundMMA.com.
Welcome back. Join us now on the 5-Round MMA Hotline, brought to you by Redemption Martial Arts. Please visit redemptionmartialarts.com to see how you can join the movement to stop bullying. With us now is MFC lightweight Marcus Bad Intention Edwards. Marcus, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Good. I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. You got a big fight coming up on October 3rd at MFC 41. I know it was scheduled to be a title fight against Tom Galecchio, but unfortunately he got hurt. So now you're kind of in a super fight with a kind of a weird stipulation here, where if you win it, you're going to be the interim title. But if your opponent Shane Campbell wins it, he's going to be the opportunity to fight for a title. So what's it like going in for this fight, taking a short notice, and also his added stipulations to it?
Oh man, you know, a lot of people that follow me, they know I take fights on short notice all the time. 14-day notice. My first fight with MFC was on 4-day notice.
Oh wow.
Fighters fight, man, and that's what I am. I love to fight, so you know, whatever surrounds a fight doesn't bother me. You know, I stay focused on the task at hand, no matter how much time I have. You know, once I'm zoned in and I'm focused, that's all that matters. And there's no difference in my training. You know, I've been getting asked a lot. You know, is your training different now that you're fighting a stand-up guy instead of a ground guy? And you know, my answer to that every time is no. You know, I don't train to, you know, beat my opponent in any certain way. You know, I go out there to fight my best fight and to be better than I was yesterday and a better fighter than the last time I stepped into the ring or the cage. So going into this fight, man, and I feel great. I feel physically great, mentally great, emotionally, spiritually, internally, and externally prepared and ready to go in for a battle and to have my hand raised at the end of you know, whichever round I finish in.
And Marcus, this is Albert. Before we get to your opponent Shane, sticking back with Tom, he's a veteran in the sport. I mean, he has over 20 fights. Was that kind of an excitement though to finally fight such a veteran? And I sometimes I feel fighters grow more when they fight these veteran fighters, because I feel like they almost gain their experience by defeating them.
You know, there was no more excitement than I get when I'm gonna fight, you know, a guy that, you know, no one thinks is gonna beat me or no one, you know, knows about. You know, I go in there as excited as I can each and every time. You know, I'm blessed to step into the ring or the cage. You know, every time I step in. So, you know, there's no excitement for me when I was going to, you know, fight Galecchio or, you know, somebody that no one knew about. I treat every, you know, fighter with respect and the same amount of respect. You know, granted, you know, Tom Galecchio, you know, has been through a lot of different wars and has been around for a while. But, you know, a lot of people, you know, get hung up on that when they start making their way into their career and they get in, you know, start getting into that, you know, the higher ranks and fighting these tougher guys that they've seen on TV and, you know, they see in these video games and they start to respect them as a veteran and as, you know, as something more than what they should. I don't do that. You're a man. I'm a man. You're after the same thing I'm after, and we're going to see who wants it the most.
Well, yeah. Galecchio is suffering from a pretty bad elbow injury. His timetable is not really for return. It's not really been specified yet. Well, would you have preferred to beat him straight out for the title, or are you okay with, you know, getting the interim title and then waiting for him to come back so you guys could scrap and have one champion finally?
You know, obviously, you know, I want to fight for the title and I want to be the best in whichever promotion I'm in. I want to be the best and I want to reign in that promotion. So it's a little, you know, it was a little upsetting at first, you know, just being so close to the fight and, you know, me being so focused on winning a title. But, you know, things happen and this is MMA, which is a very unpredictable sport. You know, your opponent can get hurt the day of weigh-ins, if you know, for some odd reason. But, you know, I just, you know, I handle diversity very well. And I just, you know, I keep rolling with the punches. You know, it's a fight. You know, just because it's not going the way you want, you know, you got to suck it up and, you know, come out the next round and it's all fresh. So, you know, that's what I did.
So, Marcus, this is Guillermo. I just wanted to know now, getting back into your Campbell fight, do you think it's a disadvantage on, first of all, the stipulation, and then at what weight class are you guys meeting up at?
Oh man, no, definitely. I wanted to meet him at 55. We both recently fought at 55, and you know, pretty much all of our fights. So, you know, I feel on 3 week notice he could have made 55. But you know, he didn't want to make 55s. He wanted 65. I didn't want to give him that much weight to make it that easy. You know, I gave him 58. He didn't want 58. I gave him 59. He didn't want 59. I gave him 59 plus one. He didn't want 59 plus one.
Wow.
You know, he said he wanted to fight at 61 or he wasn't going to fight. And, you know, I'm not the type of person to turn down a fight regardless. I love fighting. I'll fight him at 205, but I don't want to make it easy for him. And, you know, from what I hear is he's a lazy fighter. I mean, a lazy weight cutter. So he wanted to jump up to 170 so he didn't have to cut so much weight. So, you know, I didn't want to make it easy on him. And, you know, we ended up making the catch weight at 161, which, you know, I don't mind the weight. You know, I feel your ability is all you need. You know, if I see you in the street, I'm not going to ask you to step on a scale and then, you know, we're going to fight. You know, we're going to fight regardless. You know, but in this sport, you know, you can't give anything away for free, you know, once you get to a certain level, you know. So, you know, that's what we're doing a catch weight at 161.
And then at what weight are you coming into the fight now that, you know, you have a little bit more leeway instead of the 155?
We're gonna make weight at 161. But you know, I'm still right on track to make 55s. You never know, he might pull out and they might find somebody for 55. So, you know, I'm keeping my mind clear. I'm keeping my body clean, and you know, I'm not putting on any extra weight or, you know, doing anything other than what I was doing before. I love cutting to 55. I love eating healthy and staying clean and getting my weight down. It gives me a clearer mind, and it gives me you know, a more of a hunger to, you know, demolish whoever's in my way.
Yeah, it seems like you know, you always hear about fighters who have trouble making weight because after the fight's done, they kind of go back to the old habits. But it seems like you eat healthy. You say you're always in the gym, so like cutting weight's not a problem for you, right?
Oh, no, not a problem at all, man. I do cut a lot of weight. You know, I am a bigger 55er, but you know, I do it right now. Now that I'm a professional and I'm taking it serious, you know, I do it right. And, you know, I keep my weight, you know, a lot lower than I used to. You know, I used to get up to 190 and, you know, 185 and 180. And, you know, that was just me being very immature and unprofessional and killing my body. And, you know, coming into 2014, I made the decision to jump full feet, you know, full body in, you know, instead of treading that gate, you know, 1 foot on one side of the fence. I decided to dive in and take this career serious and, you know, live it, you know, not only as a professional athlete, but, you know, as a, you know, a healthy human being as well.
And real quick too, on paper, it looks like this is a huge favor for you. I mean, you have more of the vicious striking. Your ground game should be way better than his. Is this some kind of like encouragement to you, or it doesn't even matter at this point?
Man, you know, that never matters to me, man. It's a fight, and unfortunately, anything can happen. You know, you can step in there and be the favor to win and get, you know, beat. You know, just like I stepped in against Dakota Cocker and I had a 4% chance of winning, and you know, I finished him in the first period in 1 minute and 34 seconds. So anything can happen on any given day, and it doesn't matter, you know, who has the better, you know, whatnot. It's who wants it more. That I believe. I can be fighting him, and he can have the best strikes and the best ground game, and you know, I'm gonna go in there with the same intensity, the same power, the same mindset that I'm gonna go in there with if I was the, you know, better fighter. But going into this fight, you know, I put him above me. I put him, you know, he's the better fighter, and that's how I go into each and every fight. So I have, you know, I have a lot more to prove to myself, not to anyone else, but to myself, and to prove this is where I belong. And you know, I'm not just some guy that came off the street and, you know, got a few lucky wins. I'm actually a guy that can step in the cage with the best in the world.
Yeah, Marcus, would you say you fight with the chip on your shoulder right now? Do you kind of thrive on the underdog status?
You know, I don't necessarily thrive on, you know, with the underdog status, or I don't really have a chip on my shoulder. I just love competition. I love being competitive, and sometimes I see through my career guys start getting less hungry because they become a better fighter, or they're fighting someone that's not as good as them and they take it easy. I don't never ever want to be that person in any way, shape, or form. So I stay competitive, and that's who I am, inside and out. Since I was a child, is I'm competitive. We can be walking into the gas station, I want to be the first one in the door. I'm competitive, and that's that. And that's how I fight. I fight with that competitive personality, and that competitive drive in me.
And then Marcus, I was reading a recent article on you. It sounds like you have a double personality. So I just want to know how you get into this mental preparation to be bad intentions.
It's not something that I prepare for. It's not something that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna, start being this way. It's just who I am, I believe, like you have to be two people, man. A lot of people, they see me in the ring or the cage and they're like, man, you are a vicious person. But now that I got to meet you, you're totally an opposite person. It's just a switch, I don't have to look for it, to flip it. I'm not in the dark, rubbing my hands on the wall trying to find the switch. It just switches, it just happens. I don't, this is who I am. This is how I was raised. I fight, and I've been a fighter since I can remember. And, that's something that I have come to terms with, that I used to kick myself in the face for, is, always being whether I was defending somebody and fighting, or, I was stepping into the middle of something, and someone wanted to take their anger out on me and I end up getting into a fight. That's just who I am. I love to fight. I love to protect people, and I love to protect myself. So now I just took it and honed in on the skills that I have, and, trying to make myself a better fighter and a better human to, please other people, through the MMA, fan base.
Yeah, Marcus, great stuff. We wish you best of luck. Again, thank you for speaking with us. You got super busy, a lot of stuff on your table, but you can see Marcus Bad Intentions Edwards at MSC 41 against Shane Campbell October 3rd at Shaw Conference Center in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and you can see live on Access TV. You also follow Marcus on Twitter at Bad Intentions 91. Marcus, wish you best of luck. We want to have you on the show as soon as possible again, and thank you again for taking the time to speak with us. Really appreciate it.
Hey, man, thank you guys. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. Please visit FiveRoundMMA.com on our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. FiveRoundMMA.com.
Welcome back. Join us now on the 5-Round MMA Hotline, brought to you by the RMA Foundation. Please visit Redemption Martial Arts to see how you can join the movement to stop bullying. With us now is straight out of New York is Bernardo Cano. Bernardo, how's it going, man?
Hey, doing all right.
Good. I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. I know you got a big fight coming up in just about a month or so, but the venue of the place is going to be awesome. So tell everybody where you're fighting at, man.
Sure. I'm actually fighting at Madison Square Garden on the 21st of November. It's about 2 months away. Really excited, and it's a big, big step for MMA in New York. I'm sure you're aware that MMA is illegal in New York.
Yes.
It's, I believe, the only state. And so, for amateur MMA fighters, this is like, kind of a dream come true. Not to mention that this is at the Garden. This is the world's famous arena,
Yeah, I know MSG has that stigma around it, man. So many famous fights are going on there. Is that something you're excited for, kind of, or a little bit intimidated, kind of excited, mentally preparation to fight actually in the Garden?
I mean, for me to tell you that I'm not excited, I'll be lying to you. Of course, I'm excited. Intimidation, no. MSG is MSG, but I rarely really think about the venue of where I'm fighting. I usually get a fight from my coaches. Oh, you're fighting on this date at this place. So I go into it, thinking of it, about my opponent, rather than the venue. So it being Madison Square Garden, yeah, I'm excited about, but will it dictate the fight? Absolutely not. If anything, with the adrenaline and everything, it'll be a good fight.
And in preparations for this fight, how's your training camp going, and how's your weight cut going?
Well, I'm fighting at 170. I usually generally walk around 190, 185. So right now in particular, I start gradually, like, staying away from the starches, from sodium, things like that. I'm doing 2-a-days from 8 a.m. to 12. I do striking, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, strength and conditioning. And then at night, I do from 6 to 10, Monday through Friday. Saturdays, and Sundays are like my really relaxed day. I go for a light jog. I usually don't have a day off. I have lighter days than harder days sometimes. I believe my opponent, he comes from the New York Sambo Academy. So, I'm training a little bit more on the grappling states.
Yeah, Bernardo, I want to talk to you about if people follow you on Instagram, they can follow you at Bernardo_Cano. Your weight loss, you talk about cut weight for a fight, but at your highest weight, how much did you weigh at one point, man?
Well, at my peak, I mean, I don't know. I know you guys been following me for a little while, but there was a time where I was really overweight. I was 285.
Wow.
I was a big boy. And this is actually, I've been involved around MMA for a long time. However, I ended up moving to Florida about 3 years ago, and I gained all this weight. I left New York weighing about like 190, what I am now. And then when I went to Florida, I wasn't driving, I wasn't training, I was eating and drinking everything. It was my fault. So when I came back about 2 years ago, my coaches looked at me and were like, "What the hell's going on?" We got a project to do. So when they decided to help me out a little bit more, it took me about 9 months to lose the 100 pounds, and I stayed at 185.
Whoa.
But it was like it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
Going from fast food and soda, I wasn't actually fighting at that time. I was just training, So my eating habits weren't, I wasn't really paying attention to them and all that. It's when I got back, when I started losing the weight, my coaches were like, "Hey, you want to start, fighting? I think we have something here." And I was like, me fight? I don't know what you're talking about, but sure, why not? I don't want to be 60 years old and see I never fought before, So I did, and I ended up winning, so,
Yeah, you mentioned about training just to train and train to fight. What's the mental preparation like when you're training, I'm just, in the gym, just kind of having a good time, you're just trying to stay in shape, training as opposed to training like, okay, I'm in a fight in a couple weeks. What's it like turning those switches on and off?
Sure. I mean, well, it helps that knowing that another guy is going to try and kill you. So you kind of prepare yourself in that manner. However, I mean, when I'm fighting, when I turn off a switch on and off, it's kind of like a little bit like, it's a sport. It's not me specifically. I mean, I personally don't hate somebody or anything like that. I go into it as like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I got to do this, this, and that because this guy is this, and that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a Sambo guy, he's a wrestler, he's a jiu-jitsu guy, so I got to work on this. When I'm just training just to train, I was just training to lose weight, and, it was more of it was a me versus me. It wasn't a me versus you type thing,
Yeah. And then really quick, Bernardo, you talked about your camp helping you with this weight loss and getting into fighting. What's your fight camp, or where are you training out of?
Oh, great. Yeah, my fight camp is Striking 101. They're out of Kew Gardens in Queens. My sensei is Jonathan Ruiz. I've been with them for about 2.5 years. And, it's one of the best things I've ever done for myself. Just because, it's a brotherhood. I mean, I'm sure you guys know, you've been in the business for a little while, any camp that you guys go to or any gym, the brotherhood that's in those gyms it's something that you don't even know how to describe. It's something that I'm so proud of, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Sticking with your camp, but more in the broad. When you think sports, New York always comes up, but when it comes to MMA, there's not that much talk about New York. How is the fight scene out there? How as far as other camps and other gyms, is it as popular as the other cities are portrayed?
You always hear about like Albuquerque, New Mexico, and guys in Florida.
Yeah.
What's the scene like in New York?
No, I know what you guys mean. I mean, down in Florida, down in like California, I hear you. Here in New York, to be honest with you, if anything, I mean, me as a fighter, a lot of my friends are fighters. If anything, is just as big. To be honest with you, it's just we're just waiting basically for pro MMA here. Basically, all my friends are amateurs, and when I mean all my friends, I mean all my friends. They got winning records. They guys that had 10, 15 fights, and unfortunately, they have to go to other states to fight when they actually turn pro. Like one of my good friends, Randy Brown, he just fought for the ROC. He actually has the belt. He actually was fighting amateur here in New York. However, he has to go all the way to Atlantic City for his pro fights.
Wow.
You know, and my friend Kenny, he used to get a pro fight. You know, it shouldn't be like that. You know, when a pro MMA is sanctioned here in New York, it's going to be like a dream come true for especially all the fighters that come from New York, you know. And this is the Mecca. This is like, I consider this like the heart of the world. It kind of, you know, it's bad business when New York, you know, everybody's asking for it and there's not a fight, you know, to see. You know, all you can get is boxing and Muay Thai. So I'm actually really happy that this is like the first card at MSG where MMA is going to be actually, you know, in the eyes of the viewer. You know what I mean? So they could see what MMA is really about.
Yeah, no. Whenever you hear about New York and MMA, it's always about, you know, the unions and the Dana Whites and the athletic commission, but you never hear anything about the gyms and all the fighters who aren't being utilized there. So it's nice to get your perspective from it, man. Like a real true insider's perspective.
To be honest with you, I mean, I really don't like to get involved in the politics of it. I just fight. All I know is that you know, it's really sad. You know, with everything that's going on, I believe it's votes. You know, one counter vote can totally be irrelevant to the 9 votes that, you know, got accepted for MMA to be pro. You know, like I said, you know, I read up on it, but I try and do my best to not get too involved in that. All I could do is just train and fight and you know, be there for when MMA is actually in New York. That's why I never turned down an amateur fight in New York. You know what I'm saying? Because these are people who actually come to the events, people who actually come to the venues. They actually want to see the sport here in New York, and this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, for whoever in Albany is, you know, keeps denying our votes for MMA, I think this is you know, something that needs to be go through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to switch gears a little bit. Ask you about your connection with Five Rounds clothing line. How did you got hooked up with them, and how they hooked you up with all the gear for your upcoming fights?
Yeah, actually, you know, the power of social media is really incredible. Like I said, you know, about 2.5 years ago, I had no intentions of fighting. And, you know, so I'm really big on social media, big on Facebook and Instagram. And I like to, you know, me personally, I have my favorite fighters as well, Tito Ortiz and all them. And I see them on social media and what they do. They're training, they're taking pictures of themselves and stuff like that. When I'm on social media, I do that. You know, I want my friends and my family and my teammates to see what I'm doing on a daily basis. Or I'm running, I'm here at the gym with my team, you know, and so on and so forth. So I've been hashtagging a lot MMA, legalize MMA in New York. You know, just hashtags are so big, you know. And I guess Joe Clark, who's this owner of FiveRoundMMA CEO, he's been following me for some time, and I had a couple of sponsors here and there, and 5 Rounds was, you know, wanted to sponsor me, and that's how we actually met, through Instagram, believe it or not.
Wow, that's awesome, man. All right, Bernardo, we'll let you go. I know a lot to do, but people, please check in November 21st at Madison Square Garden. It should be awesome. Wish you best of luck, and we'd love to have you on again in the future, man.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for giving me some time, and all the best.
No, thank you, Bernardo.
Thank you, Bernardo. Please visit FiveRoundMMA.com on our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. FiveRoundMMA.com.
We are back, and I wish you guys could see our in between each segment, because the agitation that Guillermo is giving Albert is getting stronger and stronger. I can feel the tension in the air.
It's a really close battle in fantasy football, so I'm just trying to mess with them mentally.
Mentally, and mess up with the show wise. But so this segment, you want to touch about go back and touch UFC Japan, UFC Fight in Japan. I also want to talk about UFC 178, which is coming this next weekend. Can
I do a grinds my gear little sentence?
Yep, there is no
we went to
format.
Buffalo Wild Wings to watch the UFC in Japan.
Was that 9 in the morning?
No, it started like at 10 at night or something.
Yeah, like 11 at night, and they didn't have the fight pass. So that was, why can't it be like on Fox Sports Net or something like that where we can watch it? Come
Well,
on,
because they
man.
want people to subscribe to the Fight Pass. I
But we
guess,
go to
right?
Buffalo Wild Wings. Come on.
Wings Bear Sports, but not UFC Fight Pass. So what is it about UFC Japan that you want to talk about? Or you made it a point that you needed to talk about UFC Japan that I thought we talked about Mark Hunt and Roy Nelson, but what else is on this card
Well,
that stuck out? He has a notepad too.
Yeah, I
First
got
time ever
notepads.
I see him with a notepad.
Yeah, so he's taking notes during the fight.
I do. There's a few things I want to talk about. We'll start from the bottom of the card, which is Bruce Leroy.
Yep.
Big games, boy. 2 straight losses after kind of seeing like a
He was
promising
on a streak, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he changed weight classes and it really seemed like he was going to go in a good run. And even though he did lose to Uriah Faber, he looked good, you know,
Against Uriah
Uriah
Faber.
Faber before he lost. And it just feels now that you have 2 losses, now he has his back against the wall again.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted.
Well, I mean, his bout between Sergio Pettis and Uriah Faber was like a 6-month layoff, and then he just fought Uriah Faber in July, and he just fought on Saturday. So maybe too short of a layoff. Does he benefit maybe for a longer layoff? Is that one of those fighters, guys who just fight one every 6 months?
I just really think he needs to switch camps.
You always say that. That's your solution
Look,
for everything.
No, but
MMA isn't it MMA Lab?
but his wrestling base is I think is the vocal point here that he really needs to switch up. But I just thought that's worth mentioning.
I don't know why I just saw it right now.
I
You know
think-
why he wants to harp back on this UFC
Why?
on Japan card? Because Sexy Yama's on this
Oh,
card.
I
That's
knew
why.
what I was gonna say, but Bruce Leroy, it's also tough to fly out to Japan or to all these countries.
Yeah.
The big, jet lag. I'm sure he was there a couple of days before, but still, I mean, you're talking about a
same
big
thing with
change.
the other
Just me
fighters.
going to the East Coast, I'm like half asleep throughout the whole day. So I mean, I
But
can just
Sexy
imagine.
Yama,
Sexy
of
Yama.
course, is the main event.
Honestly, I forgot about this guy.
I-
Did you forget about Sexy Yama?
Yeah,
That's what I
I
was-
thought he was already cut from the UFC.
Yeah.
To be honest.
But before we get to the sexiness, right? I like to just get to the first part here. Miles Jury, best known recently for beating Diego Sanchez. It is on a world record tear right now, with 15-0.
Wasn't
with his last win.
Who was Machida was 16-0, right?
Yeah, 16-0, I think. So he's going on in such an impressive win. And again, best known again for recently defeating Diego Sanchez. He might be knocking on this 155 door that is now currently open.
I don't know. You got Don Cerrone fighting next week.
But
Eddie Alvarez.
I would say like bottom top 10 right now.
But
Miles
no,
Jury,
but
but
that's
yes,
that's why I
very
said
promising.
he's knocking on the door.
Oh, okay.
And I just don't want people to overlook him.
No, we're not overlooking
he
Miles Jury.
has not only does he have names under him with Tokunami Gomi and Diego Sanchez. Diego Sanchez, where my head at? But now he has the 15 winning streak to go with it. So he's getting there.
I think Miles
and
Jury
don't be
is just a
surprised to
very
see him
smart
in the
fighter.
main event.
It's not a win streak. He's never lost in his career.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
He's undefeated.
And the other thing, before we get to the sexiness,
Misha
before we bring sexy back, no pun
Misha
intended. Misha Tate, 2 wins in a row since losing to Ronda Rousey.
But she'll never get Ronda Rousey ever again.
But the fact that she's accumulating these wins
What does it
makes
say?
her back to the top contender. Because I think she was really gonna disappear up to. I thought after the Ronda Rousey fight, she was gonna be like just kind of disappear in the women's division since we have so many other contenders.
Now,
Ganzagando's in the brink.
Is Misha Tate now a novelty fighter now?
No,
No,
I
no,
think
no,
I think
no
with this
way.
last win, she's like the gatekeeper.
Well, you said she's no way she's touching Ronda Rousey.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
was that-
Aren't we predicting that Ronda Rousey's going to leave the MMA game?
Oh, true. Yeah.
I think she's more of a gatekeeper status
As right
right
now.
as of
Yeah.
right now. But the fact that she's staying relevant is why I wanted to bring it up. I really did think she was gonna phase out, but she's staying up on there strong.
Okay, so explain to me why Sexy Yama was gone for 2 years.
Well, first of all, sexiness isn't something that
His
just
last fight was
naturally
2012
come to people.
against
Well,
Jake
was he
Shields.
modeling or what?
And it was in Japan as well.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw the fight or even saw the weigh-ins,
No.
but he got even more sexier.
Okay.
And-
you asked me a question about why.
that's what I'm trying to get
where
at.
was he at for 2 years?
Obviously, he was getting his sexy on for
Okay.
2 years. The sexy peaked, and he got an impressive win and a big win against Amir Sadala. So
A big win over Mercedal.
he's back in the winning column,
Honestly,
And
Amir
hopefully-
Sadala took a long break too.
Yeah.
and hopefully, we see more of Sexyama. That's all I really wanted to talk about.
Is that it?
That was it. That was literally it.
That's Albert's 5-minute recap.
He just
of
wanted to talk about
UFC Japan.
Yoshihiro Akiyama. UFC 178 is actually this weekend. It's good to see Mighty Mouse with 2 back-to-back pay-per-views. Is that true? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His last fight was on pay-per-view.
Yeah, he only needs Xbox to carry him.
There you go. I guess when we first heard he was going to face Chris Casario, it's kind of like what we have Ian McCall still, we have all these guys, but no, the UFC is going to go with Chris Casario. Just thoughts on this matchup? Sorry.
I personally think Demetrius Johnson is in a class of himself in this weight class.
So whoever they throw at him is like,
yeah, whoever he throws at him, it should be a distinct advantage to Demetrius Johnson.
Yeah.
I really wish they would have waited on a next title shot for Demetrius Johnson. I really wanted to see the Ian McCall match. But not to take away Chris Carrasco, I mean he
it's
is
all timing too.
He's a good fighter, and yes, he is in a winning streak. But
he does have a loss against John Moraga.
Yeah,
who
that's what I was
recently lost to.
It's hard to convince, I think, people that this is a legit number 1 contender and this is a legit title fight.
This is a bigger issue though. We had other fights for this pay-per-view, but they got dropped out. So I mean, like,
yeah, it's kind of like just
Demetrius Johnson kind of got just thrown. Hey, we
Yeah.
need you to defend the title so we can headline you on this pay-per-view.
This whole card is gonna work because remember, even the co-main event now between Eddie Alvarez and Don Cerrone, this will be Don Cerrone and was it Bobby Green, right?
Yeah, and then
Bobby Green, you're out. Eddie Alvarez, you're in.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Eddie Alvarez's debut, I think a long-awaited debut to the UFC.
This card is really exciting.
Yeah,
so.
it's like almost like an end of the year card, isn't it?
I haven't used this in a while because UFC been watering down their cards, but the stackness is definitely here.
I don't know what to talk about for the Eddie Alvarez Don Cerrone
Well, we
fight.
want to see Eddie Alvarez before.
Yeah.
I mean, he was impressive in Bellator, but we want to see how he can perform in the UFC.
Yeah.
And Don Cerrone is a great
friend,
test.
big friend to the show, Kevin Lee. Is on the card.
But
let's move
about
more
his
Come on, bro.
his boy.
Come on, bro.
Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor.
This guy's been harping about Conor McGregor since like year 1. Come on.
If you're talking about knocking on the doorstep, Miles Jury, let's talk about.
No, this guy's already in the house.
He's in the house.
I know he's not knocking. He's already in the house.
He's knocking for
sitting,
that belt.
He's sitting on the couch and he just ordered like a glass of water.
Okay, what about Dustin Poirier as opponent?
And I think
no joke, right? No joke.
Dustin Poirier is no joke, and I think a win over Dustin Poirier now propels him into that top 5 category in that weight class. So I mean, you're talking about a title shot coming if he beats Dustin Poirier.
I mean, I think the featherweight division needs a lifestyle like this, right? Because
And
I mean,
it's not only his
Jose Aldo's
fighting style, it's his
timid.
personality
Yeah.
too. He's very outspoken, and
There's nobody like that in
drawing
the
a lot of
division,
people to him.
I mean, Jose Aldo doesn't really speak much. Chad Mendes is kind of like when he has to, but like Conor McGregor, people know him more for talking crap than his fights, right?
Imagine Conor McGregor as a champion at 145.
I think he'd be taking super fights,
Yeah,
calling guys down from 155.
Yeah, I think so too. And but he really has to wait. We really have to wait for the Jose Aldo Chad Mendes fight because if Chad Mendes wins, I mean they might draw out another. They might have another rematch.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to think about before we talk about the title as far as Conor McGregor.
No, I'm just saying that if he beats Dustin Poirier, you can.
Oh no, yeah,
kind of put him up for
he's
the
in
title.
the conversation.
The rest of the main card fills out with Tim Kennedy against Yoel Romero on the
And
middleweight
Tim
bout,
Kennedy, ooh.
and a women's bantamweight bout, Kat Zingano against Amanda Nunes, which was actually pretty big. The return of Kat Zingano, who was supposed to
And we also
fight.
have another return.
Yeah, that's what I get to. The prelims card is being main
Who is it?
evented. Is being main
It's
evented
Alex's boy.
by
Dominic Cruz.
the best hair in MMA, Dominic Cruz. After back one.
And he got pushed down from the pay-per-view card to the prelims.
I almost kind of like it though. Like,
No, yeah.
we introduced him to the mass audience who's
Yeah,
gonna watch
yeah,
UFC. I mean, this guy was pound for pound
That's
one of the best fighters in the world at one point before he got hurt. Almost 3-year layoff. ACL, MCL, it didn't take, right? His original surgery didn't take.
Yeah,
He was over
and
again.
then he had like a
groin muscle. So I mean, this is a guy known for bouncing around the cage. So it's interesting to see how he bounces back. I know they're talking about maybe a direct title shot, but TJ Dillashaw threw a wrench to that one.
Yeah.
So now it's almost kind of like he's gonna just kind of get his feet wet, right?
But
Yeah.
before we get, because I know you guys are gonna overlook him, so I have to make sure to stand up for my boy.
Patrick Cote
No, Stephen Thompson.
against Patrick Cote.
His last loss, everybody knows, was against Matt Brown. But since losing to Matt Brown, he went on a 3-5 win streak. And this guy has one of the most impressive
Matt Brown's no
finishes that he's stacking up. I mean, he's like a kung fu fighter in there and just does like ridiculous Mortal Kombat moves. So he is the Wonder Boy Thompson, and I'm very excited to see him fight.
Who else? Kevin Lee's on the card. We got John Doomsday Howard's on the card. So overall, top to bottom is a pretty good card, right?
The stackness is there. Definitely.
Stackness is there.
I'm definitely gonna watch the first fight to the last fight.
Yeah, well,
on
I hope
this
Jason
card.
orders this pay-per-view.
Hear that, Hendricks? Also got, I think, a sleeper, Jorge Manizal's in it. Less defeated Darren Cruikshank. So all in all, I think it's a great card. It's almost like a year-end, 4th of July type of card, isn't it?
It sounds
super,
like it.
super Saturday card.
And
Of
it kind of
course,
just
wait,
worked out that way, though.
Yeah.
Before we leave, Yoel Romero's on the card, guys, and
Who?
my boy Yoel Romero. And I
Well,
think with this win with Tim Kennedy,
My boy Tim Kennedy.
he fights a top 3 guy next. I just want to make
After,
sure
he,
that
after
that's clear.
if he beats
Tim Kennedy.
Tim Kennedy?
At
yes.
middleweight?
Yes, Guillermo, that's where they fight.
No, I'm just saying because it lines
No,
up perfect
but-
with Lyoto Machida.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. There's few.
Yoel Romero
There's,
versus
there-
Lyoto
there's,
Machida.
there's a lot and few actually that can contend with the championship belt right now, and I really do think it's starting to phase out. And I think with this win, he easily prepares him for a title shot or maybe even a first contender fight.
Maybe.
I doubt it, but
We shall see. And also, be sure to check out our Instagram during the week where we have our official picks for this card, and we'll see, because there's been a dispute about who's right and who's wrong on all these cards, who has the best winning percentage, but that's a different story, so make sure to follow that and let us know your picks as well. I think that's it for today, right?
Yep.
yeah.
So I want to thank all of our guests. Until next week, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at FiveRoundMMA. It's FIVE. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, and Podomatic, and always check out FiveRoundMMA.com. And please visit OvertimeNation.com to read articles, commentaries, and editorials, not only the world of mixed martial arts, but the whole sports spectrum, including professional wrestling. And follow them on Twitter at Overtime_Nation. A big thank you to Rockin' Green Soap, who sponsors our Rockin' Green Star of the show with Big Game. Who's today's Superstar Show of the day? Superstar Show.
I'm on fire, bro. I felt that Jackson felt that I'm on fire.
You
I'm
felt
on a roll.
Jackson. You felt Jackson's fire.
Yeah.
Jackson felt your fire in you.
Yeah,
that
I'm
true,
on
Jackson?
fire these last 2 weeks.
Yeah. The Rocket Green Star of the show is brought to you by Rocket Green Soap. Please visit rocketgreensoap.com for the full line of eco-friendly soaps and detergents, and follow them on Twitter at rocketgreensoap.com. And a big thank you to 5 Rounds Clothing Line. Awesome shirts, and also want to thank them for hooking us up with Bernardo Cano, today's interview. So please visit 5rounds.clothing and follow them on social media, on Twitter at 5 Rounds. Where?
Yeah.
it's at the number
5
5
round MMA and
Yeah,
5 rounds
It's
where?
a match made in heaven.
Yep.
So follow them on Twitter at the number 5. We're at FIVE. They're the number 5 rounds where. And also a big thank you to the RMA Foundation, the RedemptionMartialArts.com, to see how you can join the movement to stop bullying. The RMA Foundation is a nonprofit organization committed to the anti-bullying awareness. Please follow them on Twitter at redemption_MA. And please, everybody, rise up against bullying. Albert, take us away.
I'd like to thank our executive producer, Guillermo Cita, our technician over there, Big Game, our sound engineer, Steven Razo with Razo Records. Hit them up for any of your music or even podcast need. I got Brock Lesnar winning at the Night of Champions.
You read
And
the spoiler. That doesn't count.
that's not a spoiler, bro. That's real.
The dirt sheets.
I don't read the dirt sheets because
Brock
I am the
Lesnar
dirt
versus
sheets.
Brian
I got
Danielson
the
Albert's-
inside
Albert's
train.
his
or
own
Roman
dirt sheet.
Reigns. At
Yeah, but I got Brock
WrestleMania.
Lesnar winning a Night's a Champion. Wrestling's real. People are fake.
Okay, thank you, Roddy Piper or Mr. Anderson.
The madness is running wild in here. The cream of the crop.